Hi everyone. Have you ever needed to share code from your library, but you just didn't want to share whole library? I had such situation several times, and this is a solution I came up with. Uh, First of all, let's agree what will be building blocks. Uh, I use this term to call my library of methods. I'm talking about helper methods, utility methods that contain parts of functionalities, and we use those methods to speed up our development. Here is an example of one such library. I developed this over the years, and it contains many helper methods, and those are for different types of projects. I cover web development, desktop development. There are some methods for communication with Azure and etc. But so let's be more specific about what problem we are trying to solve here. So we want to share only methods that are being used from this library in particular project, and we don't want to share anything else from that library. Therefore is the name selfish. My personal need for this was the fact that I was working on different types of projects, and I didn't want to spoil the code with some methods that belong to other types of projects, but also many times I use just a few methods from this library, and I didn't want to put the whole library because of this. I like to keep things minimal and simple, but I'm sure that you can come up with some other reasons why you don't want to share the complete library. Anyways, the second goal here is that we want to reveal complete code in project where those methods are used. Again, you may have different reasons for this, but usually when I deliver a solution to clients, I am obligated to share the code. So we are talking about open sourcing. And the next goal here is for us to be able to use this partial library as if it were from the same solution. So it needs to feel as part of our solution, and we must not be bothered by the fact that we have some special handling for this library. And also I want to be able to improve my library, my code over the time to be able to add some new methods. It needs to be transparent. What this means is that I want to edit this library directly from within a solution where I'm using this library. Also, if we use this library in several or many projects, I want to later go back to some particular project where I was using this library, and to be able to update code from this library with a newer one that was changed recently. So I want to be able to do this with just a few clicks. And if we work in teams, I want to give a way for other team members to work with and to work on this library as if it were their own. Solution for this problem is to just split our code to multiple DLLs and deliver only DLLs for that particular project type that we are using, and for that particular functionality or set of functionalities that we are using. That is the idea behind DLLs, after all. I had this in my building blocks library, and over the time I ended up with dozens of DLLs, so it became really complicated to use this. I wanted to have all my code in just one DLL, so I decided to organize my sets of methods into files, and as you can see, for each piece of functionality or for each group of functionality, I have one file. If I work with XML, for example, I have this method with all helper methods inside, or if I am working with Excel files, I will need this one, etc. That's all great, but how do we satisfy all the requirements that we set previously for this idea? Well, in order for programmer to use this library in his or her project, he or she will copy this folder into his or her solution. Here is the project that I copied into my solution, and I included this project into the solution already. I have all the methods, and in this file here I just comment out files that I don't need. For example, if I am not working with methods for login, I would comment out files related to that. Here is end projects where I want to use this special library. For example, project that you are working on for your clients, and I already included this copied project into my solution, and here it is. And what's important is that I can edit this code for the library directly here in my solution. And right now, if I build my solution, it will end up with original complete code from the library. But this is because I'm in debug mode. If I switch to release mode, and when I rebuild my solution, this project will change. Files that I don't want to be included in clients in solution for clients will not be compiled. Why? Because in a pre-build event I added some additional intelligence, and for that to so my auto-generated project is automatically changed. It does not include all files. It actually includes only necessary files, and it now includes a copy of those files. So when I'm in release mode, I should not modify those files, because next time when I compile in release mode, those files will be auto regenerated. And I just want to get successful build. So you need to when you switch the build mode, you will need to compile twice, once for this project to be auto regenerated, and the second time to get successful build. Once you get into routine, it's really not a problem. So to prove that we have only part of our library included in this solution, I will show you the DLL itself. So here it is. Remember the size. So as you can see, our generated DLL is somewhat smaller than original one. So the crucial code that we wanted not to deliver is not included in that build. If I want to go back and debug my solution, I need to change build mode and rebuild solution again, so that my generated library is regenerated, is recreated. And now again I am working with original files, and whatever I change in those files will be actually changed on the original library itself. So I'm working with full building blocks here. Some of you may wonder how we are working with original files in debug mode, but after we switch to release mode, we are actually working with copy of some of those files. So if you take a closer look into files in debug mode, when I'm working directly with my building blocks library, this solution gets links to files in original folder of building blocks, but when I change to release mode, this generated projects gets regenerated. And now I'm working with a copy of subset of original files to show you in folder. When I'm in release mode, I have a copy of my library here, and I'm editing them. But when I'm in debug mode, I have links to files, to these files here. sorry, to these files here. So it's simple as that. And how is this library regenerated? Well, on a pre-build event, I'm calling executable file, this one here. So if I'm building in release mode, this executable is being called, but if I'm building in debug mode, this one is being called. I will share the link for the code of those programs. So you will see inside that these two executables are playing with project file for this project. They're modifying this file where is a list of included files for the project. And if I want to update other solutions, well, once when I improve this library while working for some other client, all I need to do is to open up that old solution where I want to update the library, and I just need to switch from release mode to debug mode, or from debug mode to release in order for my files to be automatically regenerated. Whenever we are building in release mode, we are pulling the we are copying the files from here to here. And one note is that I'm using the term debug mode, but when we are debugging our library and solution, we actually need to use this variation of debug mode, and it should be automatically added to available modes once you include this library into your project. And you usually don't need to use original debug mode. And finally, how do we allow another developer to use this library in a same way? We want him to be able to prove, to bug fix, to add new methods to this library as well, but also to get latest updates for this library. What he needs to do once he gets into project, he needs to copy the original library, and of course once he pulls the source code for the project that you are working together with him, he will get the generated project as well. So he needs to connect his source control for this original library as well, and for his he can put original library on his disk wherever he wants, but for this regeneration to work, actually those executables files to work, there needs to be information about location where he put this original library, and that information about the location for original library on his machine is being set with this environment variable. So on he needs to do this only once. And here is the necessary variable. So he needs to put his folder, and pay attention that this is the folder location. So regarding inner workings for this solution, for this regeneration, I already told almost all. If you have any errors during regeneration, just look for this file, added project. Usually I get error here, which reminds me that I didn't set environment variable. Or if you get error and that message does not help you, just go to pre-build event and try to figure out which part from here is not working. You can try every part step by step, and eventually you will get more meaningful error message. Complete code for the original library, generated project for that library that you need to copy to End Solutions, as well as the code for the regenerator itself. I will share everything, of course, except the helper methods themselves. I used .NET Framework 3.5 for this project. One of the reasons was that this framework is included by default in Windows 7, and this framework is, I think, minimal version that allows me to write extension methods. But you can change it to higher or lower versions. Just find the one that works for you and try to choose the minimum one, because you never know in which project you will reuse this library. Thanks for listening all this, and if this sounds too complicated, just go through this procedure once, and you will see that for working with this library in your end project, all that you need to care about is build mode. So you don't want to end up improving, editing your files from the library while you are in release mode, because those edits will be rewritten once you switch modes.